Hi, this is Nate Martinez. I've been selling real estate for over 32 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our marketing plan, have helped us sell over 6,000 homes across the Valley of the Sun. And this is how we do it.
All right, so I am here with Nate Martinez, who is in the Phoenix area in Arizona. And today we're just going to talk about Nate's journey into real estate. So, Nate, how did you get started in real estate?
Well, funny story. I had a gentleman that came and he was dating my sister-in-law that was living with us at the time, and he was in real estate. Drove a nice car, had nice clothes, and he told me how much money he was making, and it sparked my interest. The original goal was just to get a license, like most people, earn a little extra money, and be able to afford some of the finer things in life. And at that time in my life, we didn't have much. We owned a house, we had our cars, and we're living paycheck to paycheck. So that was the inspiration, if you will, to get started in real estate. And uh, 32 years later, here I am.
So, what were you doing at that time?
I was on a construction crew. We were building high-rise buildings in the Phoenix area. I was pouring concrete. I was a concrete laborer, so pretty much I was at the bottom of the ladder, if you will, in the construction world. You know, laborers were guys that were digging ditches, sweeping floors, and shoveling concrete. So it was a fun job.
Hey, I'm just going to ask you, can you move your microphone up just a little bit for us?
Okay.
Perfect. That's great. Okay. So, you got into real estate. What was that? What was the first, few years like for you?
Well, the first few years, I still kept my job. I had to. I had the benefits and so forth, and security of having a job. But the first 2 years, I was working pretty much full time in real estate and full time in construction, meaning I would finish construction early because we'd start real early in the morning. Then I'd kind of go to work in real estate. I would say the first 5 years were definitely focused working just buyers. You know, that was my comfort zone. And when I say buyers, we were working the foreclosure market back then. Back in the late 80s, FHA and VA had a list that came out weekly of homes that they had. And I focused on those for two reasons. One, they were always vacant and I could show at any time. Two, they paid twice as much as a normal sell.
Hmm.
So back then they were paying 6% commission versus maybe a three or maybe even 3.5 back in the day for a buyer side transaction. So they were paying twice as much buyer side as any normal seller would because they had to move these properties, and it was a timeline type sale. Like we'd get a list on Tuesday, the following Monday they went to auction. So I mentored myself out of teams that were focused on this government business, you know, and just watched what they did, but I did it on a smaller scale with just me.
Okay, cool. Okay, so you were just an agent working at a brokerage at that point, I'm assuming.
Correct.
So tell us how then you started your own brokerage, running your Remax office that you're doing now. How did we
Okay.
get there?
Okay. Well, probably about after 2 years of working construction and real estate, I finally left the construction business. I joined Remax about 29 years ago and enjoyed that, enjoyed what they had to offer. And in 2001, actually 9/11, 2001 is the first day that we started our business. We were actually having our first office meeting when the towers were being
Oh, wow.
attacked. And so really what I was just trying to do at that point, I had a great broker before, was with Remax, and just wanted my own identity. Ego pushes you to these things that you do, you know, so my ego is strong, and I thought I could do a better job. I enlisted my friend and partner, Frank, and we were partners for over 18 years running the Remax franchise together. And it's grown. We had as many as 7 offices at one time. We pretty much have 3 large offices and one small satellite office now.
Cool. Okay, so what do you enjoy most about running the brokerage?
Well, you know, basically, I don't run the brokerage. I'm the visionary. I have a CEO I have a CFO. They pretty much run the daily activities. Mike's been with us, I think, 11, 12 years now. And he started off as our IT guy, brilliant gentleman. And several years ago, Frank and I decided to move him into running the company. And then Frank and I were the visionaries.
Okay.
We see it. We just didn't want to work in it. I do enjoy working and leading my team. There's probably a 10x return, and we're probably spending 10x time more on the real estate sales than we do on the brokerage. But the brokerage is covered. We got great employees, great team members that handle all the day-to-day operations, including our broker that Shannon's been with us for 23 years. She started as a receptionist, and she's still with us after that that
Yeah.
tenure. Yeah.
So, been in real estate 32 years.
Great.
What would you say is your favorite part?
You know, I I like to create marketing pieces that generate business. I've always been a marketer more than a prospector.
Okay.
Okay, and I do like to track what works and what doesn't. And I think today I've actually enjoyed coaching and helping people. Right. So after probably 31 years in the business, I've always been a team leader. I've had a team for I would say 28, 29, maybe even 30 years now. So I've always had a team. So I've always been in that leadership position to have buyer specialists and admin help, etc. Uh, where I'm at today, I'm looking at more and more of moving my business to basically the guy on the sidelines with the headset on and a clipboard, right? More of a
Yeah,
coach.
you kind of look like a
Yeah,
football coach right now.
yeah, and then really what I really aspire to be, right, is to by the end of 2019 to be 100% on the sidelines with the clipboard. But in 2020, I want to be the owner in the skybox looking down at the coach on the sidelines, coaching the football team, if you will, right?
Yeah.
So so that's kind of my focus. I've been in the business a while, and I'm kind of there in the Remax side. Running the Remax office is pretty much hands off almost. I'm involved in a little bit of recruiting. I'm involved in a weekly meeting, a couple calls a week in the morning. So that's pretty well running as a true business without a whole lot of my manpower, if you will.
Got it.
And I like to see the team get to that level as well. So that's kind of my focus. We're building that out today.
The people that might be watching this are either newer agents or some agents that are maybe looking for advice to just kind of get over that hump, get to the next level. What advice do you give to newer agents that are just getting into the business, or those people that have kind of been in the business a little bit, maybe 1 foot in, 1 foot out, kind of how you started? What's the best advice that you can give to someone that's just kind of getting started in real estate?
Well, for me, and I give this advice all the time. I think it's very, very important to get educated in real estate. I had the thirst for knowledge, and I immediately went out. And again, this was 30 years ago, but I was getting my GRI designation, my CRS designation, and getting knowledge from people that knew how to run the business. I had no mentor. I worked in a very, very small mom and pop office, and there was no structure to it, so there was no training. So I got most of my training away from the brokerage. When I joined the Remax system, there was a lot of training and a lot of conventions, and I got to pretty much model people, right? And you find different mentors out there. I think the best advice is to get educated and find mentors that can help you along the way. Just like you guys have been a kind of a mentor to me in the video world, right? It's been a focused attempt, and even in recruiting now, going through the recruiting course. I'm always constantly looking for somebody that knows something I do not know, and then I try to become that sponge. And I think in the business of real estate, knowledge is power. And then you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't have action behind it, then that knowledge could be wasted. So I think being able to make decisions, right or wrong, right? I mean, it's okay to make mistakes, because if you learn from your mistakes, you're only going to get better. right? So,
Right.
so truly, find a mentor, find training courses, learn, study. If you go back to the analogy of football for a minute, right? And we watched football this past Sunday. Those players have been playing the same position probably most of their life. They probably started back in grade school playing pee wee football or Pop Warner. And if you were a quarterback back then, you were probably a quarterback in junior high and high school and college. And if you made it to the pros, you're still playing that same position. And these guys practice what, 40, 50 hours a week. They're working out, they're getting their bodies in shape so they can play for a couple hours on Sunday. And I think that preparation in that model is what realtors need to do, right? You have to know what to say before the question is asked of the seller. All the objections are there, right? It's the same ones over and over. I have one of my new buyers agents that went on shadowed me on the listing this week, and I said, look, these are all the things we're driving over. They go, these are all the things the seller's going to say. And on our way home, he goes, you're right. They had all the same objections, right? So once you know what to say, how to negotiate, you can anticipate that presentation, how it's going to go, and what the outcome's probably going to be, right? It's going to go, of course, one of two ways. You're either going to get the listing, or you're not, and sometimes it just really depends on your preparation for that meeting. If I'm prepped and I want that listing, I got it. If I go in there and I'm not prepped, or I'm not versed on the community, and I don't feel that confidence, I think I still have a good chance of getting the listing, but I could also lose that listing.
Right. All right. So, you've been in the coaching role for a while now. Is there any stories that come to mind of, agents that were came to you, their life was a little bit of a mess, and you were able to kind of get them to a point where they were having some great success in real estate?
Yeah, there's a lot of those, right? When you've been doing it as long as I have, you've gone through a lot of people. But I have several agents in the Valley, right, that are owners of their own real estate company that started on my team as a buyer specialist, brand new, never sold real estate before, that later left my team to be within my company and to start building their own team, and then later gone to open up their own real estate company. As recent as about 3 years ago, I had a young lady come to me. I had two ladies, an interesting story. I had two ladies come to me the same week, wanted to join my firm. One was a very, very well-dressed, put-together woman that had, very expensive shoes, matching handbag, etc., business suit on. The other one came in very casual. The woman that was highly dressed was a salesperson. She sold coupons like in magazines. So she would go into a restaurant and try to pull the owner out of the back of the room to sell him a coupon in the magazine. True salesperson, right? Just going after it. The other person never sold anything before, was a stay-at-home mom, just went through a divorce and did daycare in her home. And I would have bet all the money on the salesperson, right? The other one couldn't let go of the money from the other job to really engage in real estate, where the other one had no choice. She had to get income for her 3 kids. That person excelled. And I think they both started in March. And by the end of that year, the brand new agent, never sold anything before, had grossed $87,000 in commission. The other one was no longer at our firm and no longer in real estate shortly after that. But, that person listened to what I said. They went to all our training classes. They implemented everything. She'd go to different national speakers. She'd go to the national convention. She just kind of plugged in and did kind of blindly, if you will. That's really what makes a good real estate agent. Everybody wants to be a realtor. Everybody watches a show on TV, and in 30 minutes you can buy a house, flip a house, make some money, or you can list a house and you sell it all in the same program. So it's very sexy to be a realtor from the consumer's point of view. And in the Phoenix market, 9 out of 10 realtors after their first year in real estate are no longer in the business. So we have a 90% fallout rate in the first 12 months. So it's a tough business, but I actually think it's very easy. I mean, it takes time, right?
Right.
Time, but for me, I look back in 32 years, the amount of money that we've made, and amount of agents that we've trained and in our company, and how their wealth has grown, uh, it's a fairly easy business. It just takes the principles in creating good habits and doing the good habits every day.
Got it. Okay. So if people want to get a hold of you to just maybe ask you some questions, get some of that knowledge of the 32 years of experience you have, what's the best way to get a hold of you, Nate?
Well, you can always email me. My email is Natem, at remax.net. You can call me at 623-643-1011. That's my office number. And I'm hardly there. I'm always on the road, but the message will come to me. The phone actually forwards to me if I'm available. So
Cool.
those are a couple ways to get a hold of me. And yeah, I'm here to help in any way I can. Like I said, that's what I've done for 32 years. I had mentors that helped me, and I've always been an open book to helping agents grow their business.
Great. All right. Well, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.